Hey you all, welcome back to Pearls of Eden, and I wanted to share this clip with you all because I connected to a prophetic word that the Lord gave me that in September we would begin to see Americans unite. And I told you in that prophetic word, I didn't know exactly how the Father meant that would happen. We only prophesy in part, but in my spirit I feel it's connected to immigration and the border crisis that we're seeing. Americans are becoming fed up, and they're crying out like never before. This might just be what unites Americans. I want you to take a look at this clip of this heart-wrenching testimony from this woman from Springville, Ohio. Please, I urge you, no matter how you might feel about President Trump, just listen to her story. Because President Trump, when he was in office, before they, started the impeachment and this witch hunt, he said this in 2020. He said that all of these things that we're seeing, that they were going to try to do. And he told us what would happen. It was prophetic in many ways. And I pray the American people now waking up and we unite together to make America first, to make America great again. You all, that statement, I know they want you to hate that statement, make America great again, but it's prophetic. Let us join hand in hand together to put Americans first again. Because if we do not, this is just the beginning. Take a listen.
26 Northwestern Avenue. Miss Skinner, who I'm not trying to put on the spot, is my neighbor.
Just talk to me, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And I'm done with what I'm seeing. It is so unsafe in my neighborhood anymore. I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard, and I can't. Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to. My husband is elderly, and last night, after living in this home for 45 years, he said, "Noelle, guess what? It's time to pack up and move." He said, "We can't do this anymore." He said, "It's killing both of us mentally." I don't understand what you expect of us as citizens. I mean, I understand they're here under temporary protected status, and you're protecting them, and I understand that our city services are overwhelmed and understaffed, but who's protecting us? If we're protecting them, who's protecting me?
She asked a profound, straight up question. Who's going to protect the American people? You all are so busy. You're giving them subsidies, you're giving them money, free EBT cards, all these things. Meanwhile, who is looking out for the American people? And you all, this is what I keep trying to stress. This is the word that God has put in my spirit for this time, is that if you don't awaken, if you don't sound the alarm, if you don't think you have a role to play, then God is raising up people who are not afraid to sound the alarm, to say enough is enough. This is not justice. This is not righteousness. She can't even live on her property without having squatters, without having people just trashing her property. If you don't wake up, it's coming to a town near you. And when you decide that it's a problem, who's going to be there to enforce it?
I want out of this town. I am sorry. Please give me a reason to stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was out and about yesterday, driving around Springfield. I was looking at the giant holes in some of our buildings. I noticed all of the old familiar spots bearing new signs in an unfamiliar language. I watched as groups of strangers walked around the city like lost tourists, and it was like a punch in the gut. A terrible sadness came over me, and I began to cry. I immediately started to think back to when I was little, walking from my grandma's house on South Fountain through downtown and all the way to Snyder Park, going to Wren's to get new school clothes and shoes, the excitement of the mall for lunch at the Blue Fox, or even better, to see Santa, riding down High Street, admiring the beauty of those stately homes and their amazing architecture. dropping pennies in the fountain and making wishes. And now all those warm memories are becoming fuel to the fire of anger inside of me. I feel like we have been invaded. I'm angry that my friends and family are packing up and moving away. I'm angry that foreigners are using up the resources that were set up for the Americans that reside here. I'm angry that another country's flag was being flown in our city. I'm angry when I see our businesses and recreational areas littered with garbage left by people that do not know or understand our laws and culture and are making no attempt to learn about them. And let me be clear, this is not about race. This is about people being given the privilege of coming here from another country and having no respect for our people, our land, or our life's work. People living their life here the way they did in Haiti, angry, stealing, polluting, opening containers in our grocery stores, helping themselves to what's inside and throwing the rest onto the shelves and floors, pulling off of the highway to publicly clean and gut the roadkill lying there in front of anyone that passes by, stealing animals from farmers and leaving their severed heads at the side of an old school where children play, relieving themselves in public, making some barbaric stew out of the birds that live in our park. This is insanity, and it has to stop. What will become of Springfield? Where will we be in 5 years? The thought terrifies me. Will it be some sort of dystopian wasteland with most of our original residents having moved away and those that cannot afford to move being locked inside their homes, living in fear? This thought is keeping me awake at night. I just want the old Springfield back. I know it was far from perfect, but at least it was still ours. Thank you.
I want to remind you all, the hard, honest truth is that elections have consequences. And the way you vote, well, you're seeing the fruit of that. Why continue to do the same thing expecting different results? You've got to shift. You have to change the way you vote this season. This is an election like none other. I keep telling you, this is not business as usual. We have an opportunity here. Today is a key. Today is September 10th, 2024. This represents an open door, you all. This is our door. This is our chance. Wake up, America. Many of us are led by the Spirit of God. We are fasting. We are praying. We will do nothing before we hear from God, and we will vote accordingly. God has to be first. You have to seek Him and His righteousness, and everything else will fall into place. Have you prayed about who you're going to vote? Or have you leaned to your own understanding? Have you taken the time to fast? Push your plate away so that you can have the clarity you need to understand, and so that the Father can remove the veil so that you can see the truth. Realize you can see no truth until the veil is removed. And I believe He's doing so in great measure. So, you all, this battle that we're fighting is spiritual. We war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities in high places, wickedness. But glory be to God, we have tools. We have our own weapons in our arsenal that are mighty for pulling down strongholds. And we're using them. We're using them. Amen. All right, if you like this type of content, you already know I'm going to ask you to subscribe, because we are going to continue to keep abreast about what's going on in our nation. We're going to be prayerful, and I'm going to come on and I'm going to share the word of the Lord as He leads me. So subscribe so you don't miss anything, and hit the notification bell because it will alert you every time I upload a video. All right, I thank you for your time, and God bless.